Hello, everyone. My name is Ricky Preston. I am a first year VISTA member. And although I am a first year, this is the second year that this VISTA project has been going on, located here at the host site, Springfield College in Springfield, Massachusetts. Today, I will be presenting my VISTA project for this year, 2020 into 2021. Springfield College and DeBerry Elementary background. DeBerry Elementary is a K through 5 school that has demographics of about 5% of students who identify as white, 21% of students who identify as being Black, as well as a 74 percentile of students who identify as being Hispanic. Also, DeBerry serves about 281 students. The goal of this VISTA project is to help the students at Springfield College, as well as the students at DeBerry Elementary, get to know each other and form a beneficial partnership. This project benefits both Springfield College community as well as the DeBerry community. The Springfield College students learn and gain experience serving youth and becoming leaders and mentors. They also gain practical experience that can be used in future careers as well as in their current courses that they're taking. The DeBerry students benefit by gaining a college mentor / tutor for the year whom they can rely on to help with their academic load, as well as having some time to interact and work on social emotional aspects. Some key goals that the VISTA project focused on for success this year, I would have to say, is recruiting Springfield College volunteers. I personally believe that this was one of the key goals because without the Springfield College volunteers, this program would not have been able to run as smoothly. Also, we needed volunteers who would be fully committed to the program because these volunteers would be building relationships with the youth and establishing trust between one another. So in order for us to get these volunteers who would be committed, we had to recruit from a specific group on campus that would share similar interests in wanting to serve the youth. The two groups that we ended up deciding to work with were the education program and the honors program. They would be able to gain experience and get the opportunity to work with youth, as well as getting volunteer hours met for their specific programs. So in a sense, there was an incentive that worked for everyone's favor. Another key goal that I would say was the focus for success in this year would have to be embodying the Springfield College mission statement, that being the focus on spirit, mind, and body for leadership and service to others. Having that sense of balance in everyday life, as well as having humility and wanting to help others, is what really makes the program excel. Lastly, I would say creating and bonding with the youth and being a support system for them was also important because it allowed for the youth at DeBerry to truly express themselves and work towards improving overall. Anti-poverty, part 2 visual. So with this slide, I wanted to kind of show a visual of a correlation causation picture, just how I kind of envisioned COVID-19 and how it kind of took its effects and how it impacted the year. So I have some arrows pointing out that lead to two sides, one side being the AmeriCorps Vista, and the other side being the need for educational and emotional support for the youth. So the way I kind of envisioned this was that due to COVID, it led to the youth all around the world having this increased need for educational support as well as emotional support, just because of all the changes and stress that was brought throughout the year with COVID and the pandemic spreading. It has truly impacted a lot of people, but I believe the youth definitely struggled a bit with adapting to fully being remote in some cases and having to learn from their laptops, and also kind of losing that in-person connection and learning style that is so crucial for some of the students. And on the other side, it brings in the AmeriCorps Vista With this now increased need for educational and emotional support, the VISTA project can focus on assisting these needs on a capacity building aspect, which then leads us into our next slide, capacity building. So the organization's need for capacity building was built, once again, like we had mentioned previously, with the Springfield College students having that need to serve the community, as well as the Berry community having that need to have a college mentor and tutor come into their program and kind of assist them in their academic as well as emotional support. So some of the capacity building methods that the VISTA demonstrated in the program would be coordinating. So coordinating the program to make sure everything ran smoothly. The next one being supervising. Supervising and having debriefed after every session with the student volunteers to make sure proper conduct was followed. Also, as well as being as supportive as the VISTA could for the volunteers. Facilitating the program to help keep everyone on track, as well as acting as the connect person between the two organizations to help maintain stability and connection for future progress, for future projects and partnerships. And meeting with key members of DeBerry Elementary. Moving on, we move into the challenges that we faced this year with COVID, as well as just going fully remote. So transitioning the whole program to working fully remote, I feel like was definitely one of the biggest challenges in the beginning of the program, just because the program from last year looked completely different from how it did this year. Because we had to move everything fully remote, it caused some challenges, and we definitely did have to adapt and be flexible. So that was definitely one of the challenges that we had to go through. Having to become fully familiar with utilizing and navigating through Zoom. I would say this was another challenge that we faced, just because it was still fresh and new to everyone, but we had to act fast and we had to adapt fast. Having the program turn out the way we first envisioned it, I would say was also a challenge, just because we did have to switch the program to full remote. We had a vision of kind of how we wanted to move forward with that. But with the first semester, it wasn't exactly how we envisioned it, just because everything was still new and on both sides, there was just some disconnection. But as we moved on into the second semester, we started to see the vision of having that one-on-one pairing with the students, and both sides, the DeBerry youth as well as the Springfield College volunteers, both enjoyed it a lot more from when it was in the first semester. Another challenge I would say was figuring out different ways to better connect with the students over Zoom. That was a challenge in the beginning because it was still new to everyone. And it also took some time for the DeBerry students to kind of open up to the Springfield College volunteers and kind of really express themselves. And once they got over that, over Zoom and not so much in person, things started to move forward. Another challenge I would say was collecting valid data on the students' academic growth. Because this pandemic did hit, it was extremely difficult on the student side because they had to be on Zoom for a long period of time. And a lot of students had Zoom burnout. So it was difficult to kind of collect valid data based on academic growth, just because in some cases, some students needed more academic help. And in other cases, some students needed more emotional support. But although with all these challenges being said, there are some positive turnouts from COVID and the online programming. I would say that one of the positive turnouts was the program became easier to access and transition to online. Although we did lose that in-person connection, we did gain a benefit of the program being easier to access for the students. With the students already starting to get familiar with Zoom and being able to access it through online, they were able to access it a lot easier, same as the Springfield College volunteers being able to access that online as well, a lot faster, with it being a little bit more organized. The college students were also able to eliminate the transportation issue. I know in the past, reading up on some data, there was an issue with some of the volunteers struggling to make it to the host site and work with the students due to transportation issues. But with the program transitioning to fully remote and being online, a lot more of the college volunteers were able to access, have access to the students and be able to partner with them and tutor and mentor them. So that was another plus. The possibility to make it more sustainable because we transitioned to an online programming. This was also a plus because with this program kind of transitioning into what it is now and it being online, it is able to be a lot more organized, and we are able to have a lot more access to the students, as well as the students having a lot more access to us and being able to meet in an orderly fashion. Moving on into the next slide, we have the closing remarks and last thoughts. So for me personally, looking based upon this year, as I'm coming in, it being my first year serving as an America Vista member, I can say easily that I have grown in a lot of different areas and I have learned a lot of different things. This year, with it being a pandemic, I've learned to be a lot more open-minded, as well as being flexible. And I also gained a lot of skills with utilizing and navigating through Zoom that I will definitely take on into the future. And it's definitely been a growth experience for me. And if I could recommend any tips to future AmeriCorps members, I would say going into challenges that may seem huge, just always have an open mind and try to be flexible, try to be as flexible as you can. And always reach out to your Vista leaders because they're there to assist you. And they have been a huge help for me and have helped me make it through this year. Thank you for your time. I hope everyone has a good rest of your day.